will be better next time I try. And even if I still can't do it, yeah, you know that I'm gonna stick to it. Yes, it's all about going through it, and I'm gonna tell you why. Whoopsie, whoopsies, I made a mistake and it's okay. It's okay. Whoopsies are what it takes to get better and better every day. Whoopsies, I made a mistake and it's okay. It's okay. Whoopsies, help me look, see, I'm better at this today. Woo! Whoopsies, 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 whoopsies.
I'm a little embarrassed when I look at my drawing compared to this. I'm just not getting anywhere with this. It makes me wanna hide. Aw, don't be embarrassed. Don't hide.
You should have seen mine the first time I tried. It took a lot of whoopsies to look this way.
No one's perfect on their first day. Whoopsie.
Whoopsies, I made a mistake and it's okay.
It's okay. Whoopsies are what it takes to get better and better every day. Whoopsie, 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 whoopsie.
Well, what about this? I want to jump rope, but nope, I just can't do it.
Well, not yet. Come on and practice with me. You'll see there's nothing to it.
Whoa! Whoopsie.
Whoopsies, I made a mistake and it's okay. It's okay. Whoopsies, help me look, see, I'm better at this today. Woo!
It was only a dream, the waves of evil crashing over us. It was only a weak and faithful scream beneath the battlements. I know it's hard, but for long, before it's too late. Wake up, my love, please don't give up on me. It's hard. Wake up. It was only a dream, the waves of evil crashing over us. It was only a weak and faithful scream beneath the battlements. But I know it's hard, before long, before it's too dark. Wake up, my love, please don't give up on me.
What is up? What is up, you guys? We are back at it again. Another epic day here in 100 days of Rootkit. We're done with C for now. We may or may not go back, I don't know. But we're on to Python. Back to the glorious land of Python. Back when days were simpler, easier. No semicolons, no weird syntax, alright? No extra things in all the if statements, alright? Back to just white space, tabbing things wrong, all of that funness, alright? All of that funness. So, let us continue with our intro so we can jump into all the fun we have planned today, alright? If you guys do not know, we are Rootkit, a non-profit organization here in the US of A. And if our site will ever load, there we go. We offer the best comp sci certs in the industry. Don't go to college. Don't go to any other boot camp. Come to us. We're going to teach you here for free, and we're going to get you certified, and then we're going to get you a job. All right? That's going to pay lots, and you won't be in debt. So you're going to feel 10 times richer than anyone that went through the traditional crappy path. All right? And working a lot faster. Look at that. On top of all this epicness we are providing, if you go over to the blog section, we have our week 10 giveaway going on. You can go ahead and fill this out, and we will be giving you some merch for free. Mystery item, we don't even know what it's going to be, all right? We're all going to figure out together this Sunday, all right? This Sunday. And I need to write a note to make sure I put this out on the Discord before I forget. Put on Discord. There we go. Nice little note for myself. Alrighty, continue on. There's a link in the description of this video, or what do you call it? Or somewhere in the bio on Twitch, where will lead you to this page right here, where you can donate. All donations are being matched 1-for-1 for the first 10,000 donations. Depending on how much you donate, you can unlock certain rewards, like all the stickers, our epic collab t-shirt, or this epic sweater I got on right here. I know, it is super awesome, and there's pillars along the way, like teaching for 24 hours straight, shaving my head here live on stream, and the one that we don't want to reach, shaving my beard. No one wants to see that, alright? So we don't need to reach that, alright? If you're watching way after this event is over and you would like to donate, there's donation links on our site, alright? If you go to our site, at least the site's slightly changing over time, so it might not be here, but support us, and there's a donation link. Also, I don't know if I've mentioned, we have Amazon Smile. So if you add this, you can add, basically when you purchase stuff normally on Amazon, they'll automatically donate a portion of all your purchases to us, monetarily wise, not like actual items, all right? I don't want your supply of 3 million bananas, all right? Alrighty, I hope y'all are ready. Are there any questions before we continue onto our journey here? One last thing I guess I should mention. I am in the events chat, so anyone that's a Patreon member or a Discord Premium member, you can jump into the events chat and chat away, all right? You don't need to talk in normal chat over here on the side. Alrighty. What questions do y'all have before we start our journey? All right, before we start our journey here. No questions? All right, so when you install Python, by default, you'll have this package manager pre-installed. What does a package manager mean? Well, it's basically like your app store, right? It's basically like an app store that's pre-built into Python. And this is a typical feature for most languages where they'll have a package manager installed by default. These package managers have completely different names depending on what language you're in. In Python, it's called pip, P-I-P. And if we open up our PowerShell here and type in pip, you'll be able to see we get a nice little output here with a lot of instructions on how we can go about using pip. If you type in pip and it doesn't do anything, try typing pip3. And if that doesn't work, then you have to add pip to your path. And we have videos on our channel for showing you how to add pip to your path. So you can go ahead and watch one of those, all right? We're not going to be going over that for this. So if you have pip ready to go, you'll see that you can actually do a lot of things with pip. You can install packages, aka like new apps. You can download them, you can uninstall them, freeze, inspect, list, and see all of them. So if I go ahead and do pip list right now, you're gonna see that I have a lot of stuff installed here. All right, lots of stuff installed here. Even shows you the version number for all of this stuff. It's very typical to pip things. What does pip do when you install stuff? Great question. It expands what your capabilities are in Python. It allows you to do more stuff. Remember how we can import stuff in Python, like import random and get access to random numbers? Pip allows you to install other people's code from around the world and make them available to yourself so you can import them and start using them, right? And you can start using them right out of the bat. You can additionally make your own stuff and make it available for people to pip install themselves, which is really, 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 really neat. The developer community is all about sharing, right? Sharing is caring. So a lot of things are available for free. They're made by individuals like you and me, and they're made by larger corporations like Rootkit, Facebook, etc., etc., etc. And they offer this stuff free to the developer community, and it helps everyone grow, become better people, and further the world. All right, it's all about community. All right, it's all about community. That's the most important aspect of it. Now, using things like GitHub in parallel with pip really help accelerate all this. All right, really help accelerate all this, because then you can have, I mean, whenever you install stuff with pip, you can view the code yourself, but when you have it on GitHub, it's easier for more people to view, and they can collaborate on it, right? They can collaborate on it. Now, this is pretty cool. We talked about pip. I don't see anything here that says like, show me what's the top stuff on the App Store per se. All right, you're right. There's nothing really here for doing that. What you can do is go over to the interwebs, and we can search for something called pip. And you're going to see this thing called PyPip. All right, pip and PyPip are the same thing. All right, they're the same thing. This is going to be well, it's not the same thing. This is where it's going to be pulling everything from. This is basically the App Store. Use pip to install this stuff. So PyPip has everything. All the stuff by default you can go install. There are other app stores per se you can install stuff from. So for example, NVIDIA has their own, and you can pip install stuff from NVIDIA directly by using their stuff. All right, we're not going to go into that. This is the pre-built, baked-in one. So you can search for things here, or you can browse projects right off the bat. You can look based off your operating system. A lot of projects work on every operating system, but some of them are going to be operating system specific. So you can search here for operating systems. You can have compatibility with other programming languages, which you can see here. So if we want something for, I don't know, C, let's see. We got a bunch of stuff that will help us with communicating in the C language, or will be built with C below the hood. All right, so we get the speeds of C while using Python. There's things like frameworks, and a lot of these names you just won't really understand until you use them. All right, you won't really understand till you use them. These are really, really big frameworks, things that a lot of people use all over the world, and they're very good to know. But you know, jumping into it, it can be kind of overwhelming. All right, it can be kind of overwhelming. So what's best to do when you're searching for stuff is two ways. All right, the search on here is kind of not very good. All right, it's not very good. So it's best to search in parallel on Google. All right, Google has a better search engine, and it indexes this site a lot better. What does that mean? You can find stuff on this site a lot better by utilizing Google. So how you can go about searching for stuff on Google is you can say pip, and then I want to install, I don't know, something for like a menu system. And that didn't bring up anything, so let's do pip install menu. All right, This will usually bring up a bunch of stuff. So we got a Pygame menu down here below. You got to make sure you scroll down and make sure you're as specific as possible. Menu can pull up a lot of different things. I'm going to guess this is a general menu. Remember the menu we made? This most likely is going to be able to do that same thing. Let's see. They'll usually give you, when you click on an item here, this is what's available. This is the version right here. This is the command you run to install this code onto your computer so you can have access to this menu library that someone else has built. Below it will show you some instructions. So they're kind of showing us how to create a menu here, how you can customize the user input prompt and a bunch of other stuff, how to open the menu, how to close the menu, edit the menu, sub-menus on that menu. So that's pretty neat. So this is something you can utilize. Not everyone has a great how-to section here. So doing some poking around is the only way to find the how-tos usually. Sometimes it's really good right here. Sometimes you have to click on homepage for the project link here, and this will typically take you to the GitHub account. And this sometimes will have some better info for you. It looks like they got an example.py right here that you can check out also. So if you don't want to build a menu system from scratch, you could go looking around and just take one. Just take one that someone's made and upload it. All right, someone's made and uploaded. Now, caveat, you can steal all of this as much as you want. Steal, use it, make a shit ton of money on this stuff, all you want. That is a-okay. This is what it's here for. But make sure when you're looking at these repos, they all will usually have a license attached to them. So make sure you check the license and make sure that you're following along with what the license allows for. Usually most licenses basically say they don't care what you do. Make money. Make lots of money. The only time they care is depending on what type of reselling you're doing. You may need to... This is usually if you're making lots of money, you may need to then loop them in maybe some of your funds, or what's most typical is you need to credit them. You need to credit them that you're using their stuff, all right? And that's becoming more and more popular, and you'll see that in more and more licenses that it's going to require when you use this for... This is an older version of it. They'll even tell you right here if this is an older version. When you're using their stuff, they will ask you to, here we go. There's the MIT license. So this is, you're good to go for all of this. Private use, distribution, commercial use. You can do anything you want. Right here. Conditions. You need to let people know that you're using this, right? That you're using this thing. Now, you'll find on a lot of sites that are custom now that are coming along, they'll have somewhere buried, or maybe not even buried. Usually it's buried. They'll have something that will attribute all of the creators or packages that they're utilizing. All right. This is becoming more and more popular because there's not really any rules per se to this. Even though there's a license attached, it doesn't mean anything unless someone wants to enforce it. And that usually requires lawsuits. Most people are not going to sue you if you didn't cite them on your, project that no one uses. All right, this is more for people that are bringing in lots and lots of money. Yes, we are back to Python. But again, it's very easy. You just say, hey, I'm using console menu, and then give a link to where console menu is. It's nothing complicated. All right, nothing complicated. And again, a lot of people aren't even doing that much. So if you didn't do it at all, you wouldn't be in the minority, but you definitely should be doing that. And I'm trying to look for, I think development credits here is going to be their stuff. This looks like it's just the contributors. I'm trying to look for where theirs is. I've only seen like a handful of these, but that's usually the biggest stipulation for a lot of these is just citing them. Cite that use their stuff. There's a bunch of different open source licenses, and if you search open source licenses, This one right here. Choose a license is the one I prefer the best. These are pretty much the only ones you'll see out in the wild. All right. You'll see the GNUs, and there's a couple different types of them. There's a Mozilla one, an Apache one, MIT one, Boost Software, and then unlicensed. And basically this is a quick overview. So right here, a copy of the license and copyright notice must be included with the licensed material. Again, this only really applies to if you're making buco bucks on your stuff. All right, you should be doing it regardless, but you're not really going to see too much flack. I mean, unless you do that. All right, and again, there's lots of ways to see who you're using. So for example, if we go to our GitHub and we go check out our org and we go look at the aimbot, you'll see a lot of people will have these files called requirements.txt. And this is pretty much all of the repos we're using. So this is the accreditation per se that you're able to see who we're using, what version of their stuff we're using, and you can go search this stuff yourself. So if you're confused on what a project is utilizing and you maybe think this is a little sketchy, like what is this TQDM? Are they trying to hack me? If we go over to pip, we can search for TDQM. We can click on the first one and you can see this is a very, very big popular project with lots of stars, 24,000 stars on it. Where are the downloads at? There's usually somewhere you can see the downloads, but it will tell you what it's meant for. So this is pretty much progress bar. All right. All right. Do we need these licenses? Can't we operate without them? Yes, the licenses are optional. You don't need to use a license on your stuff. You can just not include one, then you'll be in unlicensed territory, which means anyone can pretty much do anything with your stuff at any time and not cite you, not give you any credit, and you can't pursue them legally in any fashion. That's pretty much right here. Dedicated works to the public domain. All of these are dedicated works to the public domain because these are all licenses for open source software. So open source means you are letting anyone view it and download and potentially using it, right? Potentially using it. There's just a couple stipulations like disclosing of the sources, disclosing of the licenses, etc., like that. All right, so moving on from there, pip allows you to install all of these automatically. So for example, if you want to do image manipulation, you can do some Googling and you'll find that pip has this thing called Pillow. So if you're interested in editing images in Python, you'll find that there's this thing called Pillow, and see, this is a great example of the docs on pip themselves aren't very good. So either click on a link that says documentation, or over here you can click on the home page, or there's a documentation page. Let's see what the home page says. The home page will take you here. There's a documentation page here. You might have to click around a little bit, but you'll see here there's a lot of stuff you can do with images here. Morphing, operations, grabbing things, fonts, etc. We can click on these and they'll give you little layouts talking about what they do. This is where you gotta learn how to become comfortable with Python code and rely on what we've talked about before. All right, this is gonna be a function that's attached to some objects here, but we can forget them for now because we don't see any selfs here. Since we don't see any selfs, that means this is a standalone function, and we don't know what bbbox is, included layer windows, all screens, or XDisplay is, but in good documentation, they'll explain it down below. So bbbox is what region to copy, included layers for Windows. So this is only for Windows only. All screens captures all the monitors on Windows only. So this is something for getting a screenshot. We can read up, usually up here at the top or down below, take a snapshot of the screen. All right, sweet. So this is how we can take a snapshot of someone's screen, right? This may be useful or not, depending on what you're trying to do. there are examples you can get by searching, and this is where things like Stack Overflow can be really, really good. So this is where you're going to want to say either pillow at first, which is the module you're using in Python, or say Python pillow screenshot or screen capture. And usually, like, you'll see the docs show up here, but you'll usually find Stack Overflow or some other articles here where you can see some example code like this one, which they'll show you how to just go about doing it. So this is all you need to do for capturing an image. Now, pay attention to everything we taught you again, because look, here, see how BB box equals none, included layers equal some, like all these equal something, which means, that's right, they're optional parameters. You don't need to actually do anything. You could run this by itself and it will return some type of thing. What does it return? An image. That's very not helpful, because like, what is an image? And by that I mean, like, what's the data layout for an image? Do we have like an array with a bunch of RGB values? Is this like in a compressed format, etc., etc.? This is not the most helpful thing. This is where you'll get into seeing how lots of docs are pretty garbage. So utilizing things like Stack Overflow is very, very helpful. All right, utilizing things like Stack Overflow are very, very helpful. Now, we've talked about this a lot. All right, we've talked about this a lot. Let's try to use one of these things, shall we? Let's try to use one of these things, actually go about pip installing something, and just see kind of how this all works out. All right, shall we do something like that? I think we shall. So let's, what's a good package for us to start off with? Honestly, all of them would be fine. Let's just go ahead. We already talked about Pillow, so let's go ahead and pip install Pillow. Now, typically, you can just see this or know the name of it and just do pip install in Pillow, and that would be easy enough. This is not the case for everything, though. The biggest one would be if you want to do machine learning. PyTorch is what the library is called. It's called PyTorch. But if you want to pip install it, you actually have to pip install Torch, right? It's called Torch. So not just because something is called something by default doesn't mean that's what the pip package is called. The pip package may be called something else. All right. So just know that. Just know that. There's a bunch of ways you can figure out how to install something. So for example, there's an installation section here for Pillow, where we can see what versions of Python this is compatible with, or what versions of Pillow are compatible with which versions of Python. This is important because not all versions of Python will be compatible with what you're trying to pip install. It's best not to use the latest version of Python. I know, it's a sin. It's best not to immediately use the best, latest, greatest version of Python. And by that, I mean the major version number. The minor version numbers, which are just little updates, the bug fix numbers are just little updates which will keep everything compatible. The minor numbers here, very big updates. You want to usually lag one behind. That is okay until the newest one has been around for a year or so. Then you can upgrade, because as you can see, 11 just got recently updated for 9.3, and they're currently on 9.4. So it's just now able to work on these, and you don't want to stay too far behind, because you're going to lose the ability to use this stuff. This goes into a whole mess of things, but pretty much lagging one version behind is the sweet spot. All right. Is it the same on Mac? Yes, it's the exact same on Mac. All right. So you can see here, we got some ways to install pip or to install Pillow. All right. These are just different variations. They are trying to have us upgrade pip first. Sometimes you need to do that. Additionally, you could do pip install Pillow and see what comes up. And you'll see this comes up right here. Even though they have different context going on, doesn't mean they're going to be different. Take a second. You're a developer now. You can't just sit there and be like, this looks really overwhelming. I don't get it. I'm just going to copy and paste and maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, whatever. Take a second to look at it a little bit first, all right? Python 3, this is going to be just Python on Windows computers, right? So Python 3 may not work on Windows computers. You may need to change this to just Python. TAC-M means a module. Pip is a pre-baked in module, just like how random is, right? Just like how random is. There's another module called pip, and we're ushering pip a command called install TAC upgrade pillow. Upgrade works if you don't even have it installed in the first place. So if you don't even have pip or pillow installed in the first place, upgrade will install it, right? It's like a catch-all for upgrading it if you already have it and installing it if you don't have it. So let's pull up our Windows here, or our PowerShell, and let's do our pip install pillow, because when we looked at the PyPy site, we could just do this. We didn't have to run that bigger command. All right, you can, you don't have to. All right, again, if you're on most likely Linux or Mac OS, you may need to type pip3 instead, but if you're on Windows, you can just type pip. We press enter and you will install pillow. Mine's already installed, so I'm going to show you guys how to uninstall. You say the words uninstall. That's right. Very good. Uninstall. So I'm going to uninstall pillow. It's going to ask me, are you sure? I'm going to say, yes, I'm sure. And uninstalled. So now I can uninstall pillow with you guys. And so this is something that you guys most likely will see when you install it. You're going to see that it's going to say collecting pillow. So it's going to reach out through the interwebs onto that PyPip site. It's going to download the code. It's going to then install it, and then it's going to tell you when it's successfully installed. It should be very, very quick. Some things are going to be larger than others. Some things may go through a more complex setup process than others. It just all depends. It just all depends. But it's that easy to now use this, right? It's that easy to now use this. Is there a certain directory we need to be in? No. That's a great question. You can do pip installs anywhere at any time, and it will install in the correct place. Just like how, you open up the App Store on your phone or the Windows App Store on the computer. When you click on install on something, you never have to think about where it's installing. Same thing here with this. You just install it and it just works. If you get command not found, you need to go add pip. You're on Mac OS, so you need to make sure you're using pip3. If that doesn't work, then you need to go on to our YouTube channel, and there is a video there for how to get pip up and running, because you may need to add it to your environmental variables. All right. So when something is installed like pillow, it's very easy to use it. All you have to do is get into Python. Right here, we'll just go into the Python interpreter. So just remember, we can do something like import random and get access to the random libraries. It's just that easy. We can just do import pillow, and now we don't have access to pillow because we got an error. So this is something to pay attention to and look at. Read your errors. What does this say? No module named pillow found. All right. What does this mean? It means that we installed pillow, but it still can't find pillow. It still cannot find pillow. This is okay. This happens time to time. Why? Because sometimes it will be called something different. It'll be called something different than what its name is. I don't think that's, yeah, this one's going to be called pill, I believe. So let's look here. It's called pillow. We pip install it, and it's called pillow. But if we want to go use it in our Python code, if we keep scrolling down here, why don't you say pip3 work? Thank you. Yeah. Come on. Don't be this difficult. Say, I'm telling you guys, this stuff is a little annoying sometimes. Here we go. Even though it's called pillow, when we want to use it in Python, it's called pill, P-I-L. All right, PIL. So yes, it is annoying. It is frustrating. How are you supposed to know that? You don't. All right, you have to go searching around. All right, so if we import pill all caps, you'll see that works. That is what pillow is called in Python. All right, this is not the case for everything. Just for some things, they're a little autistic like this. All right, and you look at them and you stare at them, and you're like, why are you like this? And then they tell you they have brain damage, and you're like, ah, that's right, you have brain damage. All right, so this is not abnormal, but it is not the most common thing ever. All right, it's not the most common thing ever. So how do you find this out? Well, look at this. This, again, means, hey, you should go looking around on the docs a little bit more and figure out what you're supposed to import. Additionally, you can copy and then paste and search this, because typically that will be a very common issue that lots of people run into. So we can see the Stack Overflow link here, and then people are going to say import pill. All right, and right here you get the definition. Pillow is a fork of pill, the Python image library. All right, what does a fork mean? Well, a fork is taken from Git. All right, you can see it in GitHub particularly. If we go to GitHub, copying and pasting is such a shameless action in coding, and it's so embraced, and you should be doing it. Throw every little notion about cheating out of your head from school, because those people were just dumb. In the real world, you copy, cheat, steal, and destroy. All right, so when you go to GitHub, let's say you find a cool little aimbot here. All right, and you want to modify this cool little aimbot and make lots of money. Cool. You go over here, you click on this fork button. This fork button will basically copy the code base over to your personal repo. So you can see owner, that's me. I can copy this whole thing and basically become the new owner of it. The new owner of it. All right, I can modify it and then start selling it off. All right, you can do that. All right, you can do that. Make sure you do attribution correctly, or else organizations like ourselves will enforce the law and sue the shit out of you if you're going to make buco money off of us and not cite us. All right, we will come after you. Don't worry about that. I'm ruthless. But yeah, this is what it's called, forking. So basically the pill library, they clicked on fork, they copied literally all of it to themselves, and then they wrote their own code on top of it. All right, they made their own modifications on top of it. If it asked you to upgrade to a new version of pip, then upgrade your version of pip. All right, let's see here. Examples. There we go. So we installed it. Now we can import it. Then we can start using it just like random. All right, that's it. It's not that complicated. It's very, very easy to do. Now, it's very common if you want to, if you want to use someone's repository, use their code, all right? Or maybe you want to make a project and have other people use your code. It's very common to have a file in Python called requirements.txt. We even have one here in the aimbot, where it's just a text file, and every single line of the text file has something that you need to pip install. If I told you that you need to pip install all of this, and you sat there and you type pip install for every single one of these items, you would get really irritated really, really quick. All right, you would not like this. You'd be like, this is terrible. Why isn't there a way to automate it? Well, there is. It's in a file called requirements.txt. Utilizing pip, this can be auto installed. All right, so if we type in pip, always look at the menu of things that you're going to potentially use a lot. All right, so every package installer that you use, check out its menu, see what features it has. You'll see on here that we have install, and if we type in pip install and we do, oh, there we go, pip help install, you'll see we get the help menu for the install screen, So these are all the options. There are a lot of options here that we have when we install things, right? Right here, the very first one, which is very, very popular. Install from a given requirements file. This option can be used multiple times. What does this mean? It means you can feed it a file like requirements.txt and it will automatically install every single item inside of it. Right? Every single item inside of it, which can be very, very helpful and handy. So let's pull up our 100 days of rootkit thing stuff here. So if we were to make a file in here, again, this doesn't have to be called requirements.txt, but it's an expected name from people. All right, requirements.txt. Right? So much so that you'll actually get a little custom icon here showing up in your VS Code when you utilize it. Right? All you need to do for this file is just on every line type in what thing you pipt install. All right? So we just pipt installed pillow. So we can say pillow. All right? We can say pillow later. Now, if I want to install everything in this file, I can do pip install -r for the requirements file and then just say requirements.txt, press enter, and it will automatically install every single item we have listed here. Every item must be on a new line. All right. So if we have pillow here and we want a torch here, all right, don't install torch. It's going to take a very long time. All right. Maybe I should do something else here like pi auto GUI. All right. You can also specify the version number. If you do equal, that means you want that specific version of that package. So you can say in here, I want version 1.1.0. All right. You can specify a particular version. You can also say you want anything greater than or equal than that version. All right. And there's other options to force it to always be something like the latest version. All right. This can be extremely important depending on what you're doing and what operating system you're on and how you're going about coding this, because you may be using a library at a certain time when it only works within a certain couple of versions, because a later version, a better like updated version, broke some stuff and you don't feel like going back and fixing it. It's something that happens all the time. So you can utilize this to make sure you are letting people install things that will still work. Any questions so far before we chug along here? Any questions so far before we chug along? Yeah, go ahead and ask a question. The last step you just did, kind of slow. Yep. I just made a file. Doesn't matter where that file is. I happen to put it in the 100 Days of Rootkit. It doesn't matter what the file is called. I just named it requirements.txt because that's what people are expecting. But it's not required of you to call it that. All right. The only thing you have to do is make sure you use the -r command. This means you're going to point it to a file with a list of repos that you want to pip install. And so this next thing could be called whatever you want. You just need that -r. That's the most important part. Yeah, take your time, Kamal. Can silent aim be made in Python? Yes. Yes, it can be. Depends on, what you're trying to do. But pretty much anything that can be done in C can be done in Python. There are some modules out there that can help assist in that. But it's going to be more of a manual process when you're using those libraries. You just got to look around. But yeah. All right. I'm going to delete this line because I'm not sure if that version actually exists or not. So something that we can utilize, I'm going to say NumPy. All right, NumPy. Let's go ahead and install pip install NumPy, because we can utilize, well, we can use Pillow also. I think we might need NumPy. Do NumPy and Pillow. All right, and you do your pip install TACR, and it will try to auto install it. If you already have it, you'll just get an output like this where it says it already satisfies, and it will tell you the version number. If you are having issues sometimes because you pipt install something, it says that it's already pipt installed, but you're trying to do something and it's giving you an error about that function doesn't exist, or it's deprecated, or whatever, look at the version number here that you have installed. All right, just because you're installing something doesn't mean it's going to upgrade it. You have to do that tac upgrade command to upgrade things. So trust me, it's a common occurrence to run this, have things already installed, and not be upgraded, and you get frustrated because you're like, why is this stuff not working? In the latest version, I just tried to install this library, and in the latest version of it said this command was available, but it's not working. Oh, my version number, it didn't upgrade the package, it just said that I already had it installed. All right, remember, upgrade is a manual process in here. It does not happen automatically. You can do upgrade by just saying tac upgrade. All right, if you ever forget, you can go ahead and look at the menu, and you can see right here, look at this. My NumPy is trying to upgrade, right? It's trying to upgrade. It looks like I had 1.2.3. When I tried to install, it was on 1.23, and it didn't upgrade. You have to force an upgrade by saying tac upgrade. When I did, it brought my version from 1.23 to 1.24.2, right? So now if I run this without upgrade, you can see that now I am on a completely different version, because again, it's not going to upgrade for you. So important thing to know there. Yep, so you do pip install TACR, and then you say whatever file you want. All right, whatever file you want that you have, it's just a text file. Every line needs to have its own item, right? Its own item. All right, let us continue on here. All right, let us continue on. So have Pillow and NumPy installed. All right, I'm going to make a new folder here for us to mess around with. Let's call this Photoshop. Make a new file in here. I'm going to just call it main.py. All right, and in here we're just going to import pill. All right, import pill. Nothing crazy so far. I have multiple versions of Python on, so I gotta change this real quick so it doesn't get mad at me. To see if this works, all we have to do is cd into our Photoshop folder here. You may or may not need to do that. So we got our main.py here. Run that. If it runs and no error happens, congratulations. Things are installed correctly, you imported it correctly, and now everything is good and chugging along. All right? Everything is good and chugging along. So we just found out that in Python we can take screenshots. Pretty much anything you want to do, you can do it in Python. All right. So if we want to take screenshots, we can use something like Pill to take screenshots. So we don't really know right now on how we go about that. We just know that Pillow has the capability of doing that. So what do we do next? That's right, Google. That's 90% of your job, figuring things out, right? A developer is literally #1 role, figure things out. You research, you try, you implement, you do it again, repeat, document, repeat, search more, blah, blah, blah. That is 90% of your job. You will be doing nothing but Googling and figuring things out, all right? So let's go ahead and go. We got a lot of stuff open. Let me close that. Let's go over here and let's just do some Googling. Let's do Python Pillow screenshot, right? It's best to keep your searches simple. Keep your searches simple. I know you might get excited right now and you want to take a screenshot and then save it, or maybe you want to do some photoshopping and save it. Blah. That's a lot of steps. All right, that's a lot of steps. Do one step at a time. All right, one bit at a time. Let's first just take a screenshot. All right. So let's see here. I like Stack Overflow, so we're going to go over there, and we're going to see that we can use this thing called image grab. All right. They're doing from import or from pill import image grab. You can copy this over, or you can just do pill dot image grab. That's up to you. So I'm just going to copy this code right here, and we're going to minimize, paste. All right, image grab doesn't exist, but we know if we do pill dot image grab, that exists. So we'll go ahead and do that. There we go. So this is going to grab an image. I guess that's what we were told. Let's rerun this, and it looks like we have no attribute named image grab. What does this mean? Why do we have no attribute named image grab? Not all the time will this work, but also Pill might have updated their library and this might not work either. There's a lot of issues that can potentially come up here because Stack Overflow can be old. For example, this article was from a year ago. Sometimes things get updated within a year, which will change everything. So since that didn't work, let's go ahead and do from pill import image grab and see if that helps out instead. All right. And it looks like this worked. So this is a hard requirement if we want to use image grab. So if we rerun this, you'll see we get no error. All right. No error at all. Just complete silence. It just runs. We have no image. I thought we took a picture of an image. What's going on here? Yeah, we did. You saved it in this variable here. All right, you saved it in this variable here. That doesn't mean you saved it to your disk. This is all in memory. This is all in your RAM right now. All right. If you want to save that, that's going to be a second step. All right. But before we go Googling, it's always good to mess around a little bit. What do I mean by mess around? We're an object-oriented town. I've told you guys many times before, it's a great idea to do stuff like, I don't know, image grab dot and just see what's in here. Grab from clipboard or grab. I'm guessing grab is for taking a new screenshot, and grabbing from clipboard, maybe that's from your mouse if you have a photo copied. Maybe that, I don't know. It's good to know though. You never want to know when it might come in handy. Additionally, if we do image dot, oh, looks like a lot of things are here for the image. All right, closing the image, copying it. Ooh, I guess we can do cropping of the image. There's a lot of cool things here. So take a look around. This is a lot easier for you to consume, look at. Look, it even has descriptions right here on what it does. All right, this is a lot easier for you to look at and figure things out than potentially scrolling through docs. All right. And if we were to look around here for a little bit, you might see that there's something called save. How interesting. We are interested in saving. Maybe this is what we want. It says save this image under a given file name. So I guess this will save the image, but we got to give it a file name, I guess. I'm guessing that since FP here has no equal sign at the end of it, most likely this is going to be the required argument, aka the file name. Now, can someone answer me why it would be called FP? Why it would be called FP? It may have to do something with the underlying C code. I'm going to go ahead and give the answer here. Sometimes FP will be in reference to a file pointer. That's right, pointers. Remember that? This one I think is the file path. So that is also a typical reference. But sometimes it's going to be referring to the file pointer, which is a legacy term from C. You're right. Because Python is written in C. It's from C. You can use C in Python, all right? So we need to just give it a file path. So we'll say here we want it to auto-generate locally relative to us with maybe the name coolimage.png. All right. How do we know it's supposed to be a PNG? That's a great question. We currently don't know if it's supposed to be a PNG or if it's supposed to be a JPEG or what it is supposed to be. So it's good to take a look around here and see if there's a way to tell. It looks like there's a bitmap format here where we can say whether we want it as a bitmap or a PNG. All right. I believe image save will look at the dot extension we did here and do it in the correct format. Another way you can do to figure this out is you can just run it and see if it works. So when we run this, this is a relative path. So wherever we are here in our terminal, the photo will be generated here in this folder right now called Photoshop. So if I press enter, you'll see a new file is created in this folder called Cool Image, and we click on it. You'll see that we have a new image in here, and .png did work for us, right? Did work for us. Again, if that doesn't work for you, you need to do some searching, because how is it supposed to know you want it in PNG format? PNG format is different than JPEG. We've talked about this before, specifically in the compression algorithms. PNG and JPEG are going to be different compression algorithms. JPEG is a lossy compression algorithm, which means every time you make a JPEG, it's going to get worse and worse and worse and degrade in quality. PNGs, though, if I remember correctly, are not going to be lossy. They're lossless compression algorithms, which means they keep the integrity of the entire image. All right, you don't lose any detail. So by searching on Google, we found something called Pillow. Pillow allows us to take screenshots, which is really, really cool. It does more than that. It allows you to also read in images. It lets you to do pretty much a lot of Photoshop-like things to images. All right, we can crop them, you can add text to them, you can do lots of things. You can distort them, etc., 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 and we're able to then save them. If we're able to save them, there are ways you can read files and then manipulate already saved files. Again, remember, relative path. So if I was not in the Photoshop folder, I was in here, all right, and I want to run this file, I can do Python dot slash Photoshop, and then main.py, and when I run this, you'll see that my cool image is now made all the way up here. I have two cool images. This is from the original run inside of the Photoshop folder. This one is outside the Photoshop folder because that's where I currently am. Be aware of your paths. This screws up a lot of beginners. All right. Remember, if it's a relative path, it will be relative to where you are. This is going to be generated exactly where I am on the command line. So if I'm in the 100 days of rootkit folder, it will be made in the 100 days of rootkit folder, aka all the way up here. If I'm going to be inside of the Photoshop folder, it's going to be made inside of the Photoshop folder. All right. Yes, Kamal, if you're on macOS, you need to accept that because macOS has heavy permissioning. So you need to give Visual Studio permission to take a screenshot or record. I guess recording audio and recording visuals are looped into the same permission. If you denied that, then you need to go do some Googling on how to go through your settings and give it approval. Another way to go about that is if you open up a normal terminal, because you denied permissions for Visual Studios. So if you open a normal terminal and try to redo the same thing, you'll get the same permission prompt, but it'll be for giving permission to terminal instead of Visual Studio. So that would be might be the quicker way for you, but yes, you gotta accept it. It will not work if you denied it, because macOS is a permission. They're heavy on their permissions now. So if you deny something, you won't be able to do it. Same thing goes with if you guys are doing any networking, which we will be doing networking here soon. if it asks you for the ability, and this will happen on Windows also, if it asks you for your program to have the ability to use the network, you gotta say yes, or else you're going to deny your program the ability to use the network. And if you do that, it's going to be a little bit of a headache to get it up and running again. No, closing it does not work. You're going to have to, you can just go ahead and rerun it. If you rerun it, you'll see you're automatically denied. You're going to need to go Google, because I don't remember off the top of my head, but you have to go manually into your settings and you have to turn on that setting, because it's going to be found in there now, but it's going to have a deny by it. And there you go. Matthews got you. Yeah, he said in system preferences, then go to security. It should be somewhere in there. So we're about to go on break. Hopefully I will give Kamal enough time to give his stuff permissions. So before we go on break, I'm just going to do a little recap here. Pip, again, it allows us to install other people's code. This code is usually going to be found on GitHub and is part of the open source community. The open source community is awesome. You should make sure you contribute to it, help people out, give back. Do not be a selfish pig, all right? Give back to the community when you can. You can do it monetarily. A lot of them have support links, so you can give money to them, all right, if you don't want to contribute your time. But lots of them would rather have your time because your money is just going to go to pay for someone's time, regardless, all right? On top of that, just because it's open source and you're able to pip install it doesn't mean it's secure. There is no badge of security. There is no guaranteed security with any of this. For all you know, pip, even though it is a very popular library, it could be used by the Chinese government or the US government to spy on you. You have no clue unless you review the code yourself. Just because people are on board with using something doesn't mean it's a good thing to use. Do not get stuck with the cult mentality or the popular opinion mentality, or I'm forgetting the term for it right now. It doesn't guarantee what you're doing is good or the right way of doing it, or that library is good to use. You should always be cautious. There are lots of new services that have popped up that are all about auto-scanning code and finding vulnerabilities in open source projects before they're even found by the public. Additionally, there's lots of other places or applications that people pay for, big companies pay for, to scan and report back on what vulnerabilities have been found and posted in regards to the open source packages they're using, right? It happens all of the time. If you're using something like JavaScript, NPM is really, really nice, all right? Because NPM is their version of pip. In the newer versions of NPM, it will automatically tell you all the exploits that have been found in the stuff you're using, all right? Exploits are found all the time. Just because something is popular doesn't mean it was made well, correct, or by a competent dev. Anyone can make anything and then post it and have people use it, especially if it's extremely useful. For example, when we searched for menu, it only looked like really one menu thing came up. Doesn't mean that's a good menu program to use. Doesn't mean that person did a lot of stuff. It just is the only one that's around, and it's called menu, which is easily searchable. There's nothing stopping you from creating one called menu and launching it and having it far superior. You can go do that, all right? You can make yourself an entire career and name by making open source content, posting it, and having people use it, all right? So just because you're making something from scratch, don't think it's not useful for someone else, all right? It could be useful for someone else, all right? So we're going to go on break, and when we come back, we're going to go explore some more open source repos that we can pip install and all the funness we can do and how we can just empower our program and make it 10 times better. All right? All right, I'll see you guys in 3 to 5 minutes. There we go. God. Oh, every time. Let me drink. Okay, like I was saying, the power of stealing is great, all right? And we utilize it all the time. But with great power comes great responsibility. You guys can all automatically become machine learning devs today, all right? By installing PyTorch, all right? We're not going to go through that, but if you go to the PyTorch install site, they have some example code you can copy, paste, put in your main.py, run it, and train your own model from scratch. And now, congratulations, you've became a machine learning dev. You've done machine learning, all right, which is more than a lot of other devs have done, right? It's just that easy. It's all available. You can literally utilize libraries made by massive companies, hundreds of thousands of dollars to millions of dollars into making these products. You can just get no strings attached, download it straight to your computer like that, and just use them. All right, it's absolutely amazing. All right, but if you go to college, make sure you cough up the $100 for the outdated textbook. All right, but if you're in the dev world, all right, you can go ahead and utilize some multi-million-dollar software for free. All right, no licenses, no crap. All right, that makes sense, right? That's balance. That's how the world should be, right? No. Oh God, the education system's all types of fucked up. But that's a topic for another day. All right. So before we continue forward, quick recap. If you're not tracking, we are Rootkit, nonprofit organization here in the US of A. We're teaching you right now 100 days of Rootkit, everything you need to know to get our CompSci cert, which is the best in the industry. It's a complete replacement to a college degree, and it's better than any boot camp that you can potentially even go to. All right, we're just leagues ahead. We are literally better than a college degree. So skip college, skip the boot camps, get our cert, get certified, and then get a job. On top of all this free stuff we're doing, you can go over to the blog section and enter in our week 10 giveaway. Completely free. Just click the green button and then just show that you're subscribed to our YouTube channel, following on Twitch, blah, blah, basic stuff like that. All right, nothing fancy, 100% free. Additionally, if you like what you're doing and you want to help support us, because doing things for free is very, very expensive, you can donate on the link in the description, or if you're on Twitch, somewhere in the bio. All right. If you click on that link, all donations are matched 1-for-1 for the first 10,000 donations. Depending on how much you donate, you can unlock certain rewards, like our epic stickers, our collab t-shirt, and this epic 100-day Rootkit sweater I got on with the Rootkit logo in the back. We have pillars on the way, like streaming for 24 hours straight, shave my head here live on stream, and the one that our goal, not to hit this goal, shaving my beard. No one wants to see that anyways, all right? Let us continue on our journey here. If you wanted to become a machine learning expert, you can go over to PyTorch's site. It will tell you how to pip install it. Some things are a little more complicated than others. PyTorch is by default will work just fine, but it will run only on your CPU. Machine learning is garbage when it comes to CPU. Do not do your machine learning on your CPU only unless you have no other choice. And if you do, stick to very small, lightweight things. This is all written in, all of it underlying is written in C. All right, and all these libraries are available for you in C. All right, so just say C++. This is something that's very specific because it is written in C/C++, so it's very specific to what operating system you have, what you're running, etc., etc., even if you have a GPU and who those GPU providers are. Because if you're writing in C, it's not like Python. It doesn't just instantly work everywhere. It is very specific. So when you use libraries like this, which utilize underlying hardware calls, you gotta be very specific. So if you want to download PyTorch and start your machine learning journey, stable, Windows or Mac, depending on which one you have, you're going to want to pip install them. You're not using Conda, libtorch, or Source, right? Pip, we're using Python, and depending on what you got, for macOS, you don't get any speed ups, all right? macOS is not ideal for machine learning, not at all, all right? It's recommended not to do any machine learning on macOS. Windows, though, you can utilize the power of CUDA, all right? AMD just sucks in general, so they're not supported for most of things, right? When it comes to machine learning. Why? Because AMD sucks in general and they've been lagging behind, all right, severely. So you can see here, this link is a lot longer than what we normally had, because before we could just pip install and this stuff, all right? Depending on what you're pip installing and from where, they might have this extra bit right here. This extra little piece of information here is the extra index URL. What does this mean? It basically says, do not go to the normal PyPip site for installing this. Instead, go to this website and install it from here instead. All right. You'll see this is a common thing on very machine specific pip installs. So anything with machine learning, you're going to have most likely something like this. If you want to install stuff from NVIDIA, their pip installs will have something like this, except instead of it being from download.pytorch, it'll be from download.nvidia or whatever NVIDIA's PyPip server is called. All right. Because all these are is just like a store that contains code, right? It's nothing crazy, all right? Just PyPip is the default store you go to. So it's very important to, you know, pay attention to that and make sure you're installing things from the correct place, all right? From the correct place. All right, let us continue. LMLO, this is kind of fun, but it is used for taking a screenshot of your lines of code, right? Because that's all I can really take a screenshot of. No, this is for taking a screenshot of anything on your screen, So this uses a B-box. This is where if you're using other people's code, you gotta look at what they require you to do in order to use their code properly. So we know this is some type of box, B-box. Don't really know what the other B stands for. You can guess. Most likely it stands for bounding box or boundary box, right? And we have some coordinates here that are in a tuple, right? Not an array, in a tuple. And there's 4 of them. What could those 4 be? Well, instead of guessing, you could look right here and maybe see. It doesn't really tell you right here. So the next thing you can do is go to the docs, all right? This is where you gotta look at the docs, all right? Even though they may look painful, like this looks painful, you gotta go here. Most of them will have a search section here. So it's best to search. What do we want to search for? Well, maybe we can start with B-box. None of this really says B-box, but it's not really talking about B-box very much. So we can utilize, are we doing image grab? What are we? Yeah, we're using image grab. So let's click on this first one right here. B-box. So what does this one do? You don't know until you click on it. So go looking around. This is showing us the original code, the source code, all right? We're looking at the source code for Pill, particularly for image grab. This is the function they made for image grab. Their code they wrote ourselves. Don't get overwhelmed. As you can see, they did a really good job at documenting this for you. That's a joke. There's no comments in it, and you'll usually find there's not going to be pretty much any comments in here, because some people believe that when their code is good, the variables can explain themselves, which they're not wrong to a certain extent. Don't get overwhelmed. Just look around a little bit, all right? Look around a little bit. We look, B-box here, for example, is what we want. So if we do a Control F, we can do B-box and maybe do some looking around here and see if we get our answer. B-box, none, that doesn't help us. If B-box, so I'm guessing if the B-box exists, it's unpacking that array into 4 different variables. So from here, we get our answer. The first number is for left. The next one is for top. The next is for right. And the next is for bottom. All right? That's what these are for. But what does that mean? That doesn't make any sense. Think about it a little bit more. All right? You gotta think about this stuff and kind of diagnose it yourself, because you're not going to get very much help. All right? You're not going to get very much help when you start getting into other people's code unless they do a good job at documenting it. Left is going to be how far left you want to take your picture. If we look at ours, it's 0. So we want to be all the way over. The next one is top. How far top do we want to be? It's 0. So we can assume from the pictures that we took, because we took these pictures like this, that 0 means it's going to start up here in the corner. So left 0 and top 0 means it's all the way pushed to the very top of the screen and to the very leftmost of the screen. All right. And then the next ones here are going to be right and bottom. So this is looking at our code here, 639 and 479 don't really make sense. But what they are is how many pixels to the right and how many pixels downwards our picture is going to be. So we're taking a basically a picture here that's going to be 639 pixels by 479 pixels starting from the right corner. If I were to move my VS Code over and rerun this, you're going to see that now we're taking a picture of my browser. So if we look at this picture now, you're going to see this is a picture of my browser because it's taking a picture of the corner here. So that's what's going on here. So from there, you're now able to mess with this more, right? You're able to mess with this more. If you want to take a screenshot of your entire screen, then you would most likely have to put how large your screen is in here. There are other ways to auto detect how large your screen is, but we're not going to go into that right now. So I have a 4K monitor. So if we look up, 4K monitor resolution, we can see that the width is going to be this number. So which one is the width? I don't even remember. So what do we do when we don't remember? You look at the docs. So right, we'll put that number in there, and then we'll go over to our height and put our height here. If we rerun this, you're going to see we just took an entire screenshot of our screen. Look at that. If you have multiple monitors, you'll notice that this is going to be taking a picture of your primary monitor by default. I have 3 monitors. This is only taking a picture from my primary monitor here. What if you want to take a picture of other monitors? Well, go look at Grab. If we can hover over here and see all screens. Interesting. All screens must be false by default because it's not taking a picture of all of our screens. All right, I got 3 of them. It's only doing 1. Additionally, there's this thing called X display. I'm no genius, but I'm guessing X display means choose which display you want to take a screenshot on. So these are all just different ways you can go about screenshotting. Now, just because this allows you to do screenshotting doesn't mean it may have those features like choosing a monitor or other advanced features like that. Not all libraries are made equal, right? Some of them are more capable than others. So you may have to shop around and look at other places for getting screenshots if that's what you want, all right? But that's just an example. Wait, did you Google screen size? Yes, because I'm getting it in inches. Well, screens, you gotta do resolution. You gotta do resolution. All right. If you want to auto do the whole screen, maybe there's something built into Pill for automatically capturing the entire screen. Or maybe there's a way for automatically capturing or getting how large the screen is. So we can go and do some Googling for that. Pill, get the size of the screen. All right, and most likely you'll have to put Python at the beginning. There were a lot of weird recommendations when we typed in Pill there. So you can see people have asked this before. What is the solution? Not using Pill, using something else called Screen Info. So we have to pip install this. If we're pip installing more stuff, make sure you're logging it all inside of some file. All right, some file, logging it all. So that way, if you ever share this code or you ever uninstalled Python or something ever happened, you can easily reinstall all of the things that you need in order to run your program. So if we use this thing, this will give us our monitors. So if we copy this code here, all right, we need to pip install this. So remember that. Let's go ahead and pip install that. All right, and we're trusting the screen info thing. I've never used this one, so I have no clue if it's legit or not, but it's too late now. All right, so now we can go ahead and add to our code this thing, and it looks like it's going to get all the monitors we have, call it M, and then print out all of our monitors. So if we run this, Python, if I can spell correctly, holy crap, Python main. There we go. You can see I got 3 monitors printed out because I have 3 monitors, and you can see that their width and their height are right here. All right, how do we access these items? Great question. Try doing m dot. Look at that. Height is right there. Width is right there. We can access them. All right, we can access them. Additionally, if you see in here, you'll see this thing called primary. All right, primary, because you will always have a primary window, right? A primary monitor. So I want to get the dimensions for my primary monitor. So in here, I would want to have some logic, because if we do m dot is primary, this is going to be a Boolean. Booleans are perfect for if statements. So if we do if m dot is primary, is primary, then we can say this is my primary monitor. So I can say right here, primary monitor equals nothing at first, and then when we find my primary monitor, I want it to be equal to m. Now we have my primary monitor. We can access it out of that if statement, and right here, instead of hard coding this, I could do m dot height, or this one's supposed to be width, and then m dot height. And now when I rerun this, Python main, you'll see we get another screen shot here, and the screenshot is not the entire size of my monitor. So it looks like we got some issues going on. Is primary true? Is it getting replaced with 1080p? Because this looks like 1080p. This is like a quarter of my screen. I wonder if because it's for looping. Well, this is where we can do something else like enumerate. And then we can just instead get the index, save the index off, and then we can do something like get monitors dot, and then this would be the index or the primary monitor dot width, and then do this again for the primary monitor height. There we go. Now we got the whole monitor. I'm still confused on why this... Is it really getting replaced? M. Let me rerun this. Huh. Interesting. Well, we have a workaround here. All right, so what's going on? The pointers are being replaced behind the scenes because it's written in C. So M temporarily was equal to, if you look here, my last monitor is 1080p in size. These other two are 4K. I'm getting a shot here that's only 1080 in size, which means that this on its last loop is going to be the 1080 monitor, which means that M is being replaced. Even though it's not primary. I guess the pointers for M are being messed up. Can I do... Is it copy? There's a way to in Python to forcefully copy something instead of getting the pointer version of it, because those errors do occur sometimes. But yeah, point is, now you guys are seeing the power of using other people's code. You could write all of this from scratch yourself. You can do that. You can write every bit of pill and every bit of screen info yourself from scratch. You don't have to pip install anything. But there's a lot of power when you utilize pip and you install things that are already made, because it helps you do things faster. You don't need to worry about this stuff. You don't need to worry about making a screen capture system or getting screen info, because it's just available for you immediately, quickly. So it's very, very fast and efficient for you. Did you copy and paste your second line? What else did you do? Because it won't work for me. If it won't work for you, don't worry about it too much. We're not here to learn about screen info. The point is to learn about pip and installing things. The second line here is only works when we're giving the index or saving off the index to primary monitor here. And this second line is the one that works. These are both the same. This is just using a different way to get the variable. Oops. So this can be very, very cool or effective for you, because there are things written in C that Python, all right, just because the language itself exists and they have things like lists available in the language for you to utilize, doesn't mean the developers of Python did it the best way possible. They did it the best way, or for speed, I should say. They did it the best way possible for the language itself. What do I mean by that? There's a very, very famous library that lots of people utilize called NumPy. Right? NumPy. What is NumPy? It's arrays. It's lists. It's those things we've been using pretty much the whole entire time now. Except NumPy is way faster than the pre-built-in arrays. Right? It's way faster than the pre-built-in arrays. There we go. You can kind of see some example code right here. It does a lot of stuff for you automatically. If you do machine learning, you're going to need to learn NumPy, all right? Because it's used a lot. It's a lot of fast optimizing underlying C code that gets executed via Python commands. It is, when I say a lot faster, I mean it's a lot faster than the pre-built-in list logic you can do. Why? Because these are going to be more close to true arrays. What does that mean? Well, remember, the only distinguisher between arrays and lists is that arrays must be predefined by their data type and can only be that data type. That's what gives them so much speed. Lists, on the other hand, can be potentially every data type. You can have strings mixed in with integers in a list, and it will be fine. If you look right here, when you make a array, which this might not make much sense to you guys, so hang with me. You have to, just like in C, define what type of data you want in your array. So this is making an array, and we're defining right here, we want it to be what type of data? You guys should know this by now. Integer data. What does 64 mean? 64 bits. So these are going to be integer values that take up 64 bits of data. They will be 8 bytes long. Remember in C, when we took the size of our integers, in Windows, they were by default 4 bytes in size. So this is going to be double the normal integer value that you have available. AKA, under the hood, it's going to be more like that's right, a long long. A long long is an integer that's going to be 8 bytes in size. Also known as a size underscore t, which we saw those also. They're all equivalent. They're all going to be 8 bytes in size. They're all going to be int 64s, all right? So you can specify the and you have to, when you're using NumPy, the exact data type you want. Again, Python is pretty much a wrapper on top of C, right? On top of C. So anything you can do in C, you can do with a Python wrapper on top of C. Any questions in regards to that? Not needed to know right now, but most likely, depending on your job, they will have you, if you're doing stuff in Python, they'll have you learn probably NumPy eventually, because it's very, very handy. It's very, very fast. All right. If you are wondering what you should learn library-wise for jobs that you want to apply for, well, go look up the jobs. Go see what you want to do. They will list and tell you what you should be learning, right? What do I mean by that? Let's say you're interested in doing machine learning. Well, what are you supposed to learn? I've talked about PyTorch. Is that it? Look at the job listings. They'll tell you, all right? They'll tell you. So if we go over to Meta and machine learning engineer jobs, let's see. We don't want leadership. Why are all these leadership jobs? We'll click on one of them and see. So Python, some stuff here. Here's some technologies you should be familiar with, but this is for a high-end job. This is not for a junior job. I do not want to look at these. God, can I not get the... Let's click on jobs. And can I just find one right here real quick? Machine learning. Data scientist, machine learning. Here we go. If you look at the job descriptions, they'll usually tell you what you should be learning. So over here, they're going to say you need experience with a querying language like SQL. Don't worry, we're going to show you SQL. You need experience with Python and or something like R, which is another programming language for doing statistical and mathematical stuff. Sometimes they'll list here, all right, you need experience utilizing Spark and Hadoop. You can go search those and see what they do. They are big data applications for dealing with petabytes of data. All right. Let's see. This is pretty much, I guess, the only hint they're going to give you right here. This looks like an advertising job because they're talking about advertising right here. This also tells you some stuff you need to research. This is very much math heavy. But go look at the jobs. They'll tell you here what you need to do. So you got to go do some Googling and learn about this stuff. Maybe see if they want you. This is where you got to kind of put 2 and 2 together if they're not going to tell you outright. They want you to know Python. Cool. They want you to know linear models. What are linear models? Great question. Go search linear models. Then go search how to do linear models in Python. Congratulations, you most likely will get some responses about libraries in Python you can use to learn about these items, right? Additionally, there is Spark Python libraries and there's Hadoop Python libraries. All right, so you kind of need to look at these and kind of mix and match them together. Same thing with this. You got to learn how to do potentially these in Python. All right, these are preferred qualifications. Now this is machine learning. Again, this is the same, not just for Python, but every single language. Let's say you want to do game development. Game development jobs. If we look here at game development jobs, I guess we're going to Gameco. What do you got for me? Some Activision. Oh, Python. How convenient. Job at Activision for Python. Software generalist. Oh, whoops. Let's look here. All right. They're going to tell you they want extra stuff. This is not required. We're going to teach you guys this stuff. You guys already know this stuff. All right. So you guys already have 2, or by the end of this, you'll have 2 of the they really love if you would have this stuff. These are the base stuff. So if we look here, MySQL, which we're going to be teaching you, Python, and Django. What is that? Well, that is a Python library. All right, this is a Python library you can pip install. So we click on Get Started. You can see here somewhere it will tell you how to pip install it. Install Python. Thank you very much, Captain Obvious. Import Django. Okay, where's the pip install? Or is Django included now? Maybe Django is included, but this is something that's a Python library you would have to learn in order to get this job. You guys already know Git. All right. Do you have experience with Microsoft operating system? I hope you do. It's required to pass. All right. So you guys can see you're already being able to fulfill a lot of these job requirements. Right? A lot of these job requirements. Any questions so far? Right? Any questions so far? Learning libraries is the secret last level for programming. To pass the exam, you don't need to know libraries. You don't need to pip install stuff. You don't need to. All right? The exam is not going to have that stuff or a requirement. It could help you. It could help speed things along and help you pass, but it's not required. All right? Pip is the next evolution in your career, basically. Because knowing the fundamentals, which we've taught you guys, and then knowing the base language, which is not too much. You know, your variables, your if statements, your while loops, those basic tools and how to use them together. That's level 2. All right, that's level 2. Level 3 in your development career is going to be learning and starting to master some of these very popular big libraries. All right. That's the next level for you when you complete this. And level 4, which is the final level of our certifications, is going to be leadership. You're going to be needing to know the skills to run a developer team. All right? So after you finish this, tier 3 certs, level 3 certs are going to be your next goal, because we're giving you our comp sci cert is going to be a level 2 cert. All right? That means you know at least 2 languages, you know them well enough to produce products. You may or may not know how to use package managers. That's not the big point. The big point is you have a strong understanding of at least 2 languages and of computer science in general. You know operating systems. You know 2 different operating systems. Technically 3, because macOS is pretty much anything that happens on Linux will happen on macOS. All right, you know networking, you know all this other stuff. C is not going to be necessary to pass the exam, no. All right, I think we still have, if you use HTML and CSS in your exam, I think the combination of using both of those we count is still our current policy. All right. So that may change later, but that's still our current policy, which will be teaching you guys HTML and CSS. So for tomorrow, what I want you guys to do to prep for tomorrow, 1, you guys can go ahead and have fun looking around, pip installing things, and messing with stuff. All right? Go have fun with it. Go get some code. For tomorrow, we're going to be utilizing Flask. All right, we're going to be utilizing Flask. So go to the quick start. This doesn't tell you how to install it. Well, there's a little link right here. So I hate some of these sometimes. All right, you got to scroll down a little bit. And here you go. Don't do the create environment. Can we just, here we go. Install Flask. Pip install Flask. All right, pip install Flask. We're going to be using Flask tomorrow. We're going to be using Flask tomorrow. You guys are going to get very familiar with Flask. All right, this is how we can develop APIs, but also run websites if we want. We won't really be using it too much to run websites, but we're going to be utilizing it for developing our own custom APIs. All right, our own custom APIs. So go mess with it, hang out. How easy are they easier compared to C in your opinion? Yes. They're extremely easy compared to C, in my opinion. Extremely easy to learn. To make things look good, that might take a little bit longer, but to use, very, very easy. HTML and CSS are so easy, in fact, most people don't count them as real languages, even though HTML has language in its name. It's CSS, not CMS. Their HTML is just a markup language, so it's just how you can make things look pretty. Well, how you can organize things. CSS is going to be how to make things pretty. C was quite a challenge, honestly. Yes, C is quite a challenge. All right, C is quite a challenge. Don't worry, we're past C. The big takeaways from C was the underlying concepts. All right, like pointers and data structures. It is important for you guys to see those. All right. All right, that's all I got for you guys today. So tomorrow we're going to start on our journey making an API, messing with the API, pinging it and making our own website. And then we're going to also hook this up into databases. So you guys are going to be getting some experience with some databases. We're going to start off with MySQL database. I'd be satisfied if I didn't have to come across it well into my developer years. You most likely, like most people, will never ever have to touch C. Ever. Period. Right? Don't really worry about it. Right? You most likely will never touch it. It's not a very, very popular language. It's used a lot, but not super popular. But all right, I will see you guys tomorrow on the next one.